Right, what is up you guys, and welcome back to the Progressive Skills in English Level 2 coursebook. In this recording we're going to be going over Theme 5, the final theme of the 111 English course. It's about nutrition and health. And speaking of nutrition and health, I just wanted to briefly mention the coronavirus and the pandemic currently going on. I just want you guys to stay safe, you know the drill. Wash your hands, stay clean, don't wash your face, don't touch your face, and keep social interactions to a minimum. Try quarantining yourself if absolutely necessary. Just have faith that we will get through this as humans, alright? So now that that's out of the way, let's go to exercise A, reviewing vocabulary. Match the verbs and nouns or adjectives. Right, let's take a look. Here we're going to be matching these. So these are some not fixed expressions, but words that go together better. So let's take one for example. We have classify. So what can I use classify with here? I'll use classify with foods. Okay, so classify different foods. Remember, we're talking about nutrition and health in this theme. 2, we have define. So we'll say define a word, right? What does a word mean? 3, feel. We'll say feel hungry, right? Feel hungry. 4, eat. We'll say eat food. Makes sense. 5, get energy. We get energy from food. This one's correct. 6, take exercise. Take exercise. B. 7, we could say be careful, right? And finally, have a healthy diet. Okay, so classify foods, define a word, feel hungry, eat food, get energy, take exercise, be careful, and have a healthy diet. Okay, now what do we have? Let's go to exercise B. Activating ideas. Study the photograph on the opposite page. How many items can you name in 1 minute? Okay, so this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to pause the video. Just forget about that whole 1 minute thing. Just name as many foods here as you can. Okay, so pause the video right now and then come back and check your answers. Okay, so let me name a few for you. This is obviously oil. Okay, this is the food pyramid, by the way. Here we have carbohydrates. These are the different nutrients. We have carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We start with carbs and then move our way to protein and finally fat up top. Okay? So we have oil, we have sweets, chocolate. This is butter, I think. Yep, it's butter. And then for protein, we have chicken, sausages, almonds. I think this is cake, if I'm not mistaken. Cheese, milk, eggs, yogurt, fish. Okay, what else do we have? Nuts as well. You could call this nuts if you want. And then let's move here. Here we have pineapple. These are different fruits and vegetables. So we have pineapple. These are raspberries, apples, bananas. What else? We could say lettuce. Lettuce, right? Onions. Pepper. We have pepper right here. I don't know if you can see it. And then down here we have carbohydrates. So we have potatoes, pasta, or actually sorry, this is pasta. I don't know what you guys call this, but it's a form of pasta as well. Rice, or sorry, this is spaghetti. This is pasta right here. I really don't know the difference. That's fine. Right? Bread and biscuits. Okay? I hope you're able to get a few down at least. Now let's go to exercise C. Understanding the organization of a lecture. Okay, listen to the introduction to a lecture from Food Sciences. What is the lecturer going to talk about this week? In what order? Number the points below correctly. Okay, so we're going to listen to a small introduction, 30 seconds long, and we'll number the points below on what is he going to talk about and in the correct order. Okay, so here we go.
Track 5.1.
This week I'm going to talk about nutrients. So today I'm going to define the word nutrient.
Okay, so he's going to start with the definition of a nutrient, okay?
Then I'm going to classify the different nutrients.
Okay, and then he wants to classify different nutrients, so we'll say classification of different nutrients.
After that, I'll give you some examples of foods which contain each type of nutrient.
Right, and then he's going to go ahead and give us examples of food with each different nutrient.
Next week, we'll go on to look at food groups. We'll also talk about quantity. How much food do you need from each group?
Right, notice how I didn't move on when he talked about food groups and energy, and that's because here he wants to know what the lecturer is going to talk about this week, right? And he said next week he's going to talk about food groups, energy, and food quantity. Okay, so always keep your eye, just listen closely to these details, okay? These can make or break your exam, okay? You could lose a lot of good marks for making a mistake here, so be careful, okay? So yeah, definition of nutrient, classification of nutrients, and examples of food with each nutrient. Right, let's move on. Let's take a look at the vocab box. Here we have carbohydrate, chemical, damaged, energy, fat, mineral, nutrient, protein, repair, and vitamin. Let's take a look at exercise D now. Listen to the first part of the lecture and answer the questions. Okay, so here we have 3 questions, and let's listen to the first part. Here we go.
Track 5.2.
Okay, so what is a nutrient? It's something which the body needs to operate properly. Food contains nutrients, which are basically energy and chemicals. Energy has many meanings. For example, electricity. But in the human body, energy is the ability to do work. Chemicals are things like calcium and magnesium. These chemicals help the parts of the body to operate correctly. The body needs different amounts of each nutrient. If you have too much of a particular type, you can get fat. If you have too little of a particular type, you can get ill.
Okay, so now let's go to question 1. What are nutrients? So we know that the body needs different nutrients, but what are nutrients made up of? Well, they are basically, like the lecturer said, energy and chemicals. Okay? And for question 2, what is energy in the human body? Energy has a lot of different meanings, right? And we also know that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So we'll say energy in the human body means the ability to do work, whether that's running, your heart pumping blood, your stomach digesting food. This is all considered work for the human body. Okay? Now let's go to question 3. What happens if you have too much of a particular type of nutrient? Well, in this case, you will get fat. And like the lecturer said, if you have too little, you get ill. Okay? Now, let's move on. Here we have exercise E, understanding a lecture 2. I'm guessing we're going to listen. Yep. Okay, so listen to the second part of the lecture and complete the diagram on the right. Right, so this one's quite long, so I want you guys to pause whenever you have to. I won't, personally, but I want you to pause the video if you're having trouble listening or visualizing the diagram. Just complete the diagram as you're moving, okay? Don't wait for it to be over because you might forget some important details. So think of it as, you know, you're in class and you're taking notes, okay? So here we go.
Track 5.3.
Okay, first, what are the different nutrients? There are 5 main types. Firstly, there are carbohydrates. Secondly, there is protein. Thirdly, we have vitamins. Fourthly, there are fats. Meat and fish contain fats. Finally, there are minerals. Food also contains fiber, which is important for digestion, but that is not a nutrient, so I'm not going to talk about that today. Okay, so we've seen the 5 different types, but what is the value of each type? Let's take carbohydrates. This is the main energy nutrient. Most people get most of their energy from carbohydrates. Secondly, we have protein. The body needs protein for growth. It also needs it to repair damaged parts. Next, vitamins. As I'm sure you know, there are several different vitamins, A, B, C, etc. Each one helps with a particular part of the body. But in general, vitamins help with growth and repair, like protein. Fourthly, we have fats. Most people think of fats as a bad thing, but some fats are necessary. They help to form chemicals called hormones, which carry messages around the body. Finally, there are minerals. We only need tiny amounts of these nutrients, but again, they are essential for growth and repair. Almost every nutrient has a role in that. And they also help to release energy from other nutrients. Right, so we have classified the main nutrients and seen their function in the body. Let's turn now to the key question, where do we find the main nutrients? Firstly, carbohydrates. These nutrients are found in food like bread, pasta, and rice. There is protein in meat and fish. There's also protein in cheese. What about vitamins? A fruit, like apples and oranges, contains vitamin C. Eggs have got vitamin D in them, and there's vitamin E in nuts. Next, fats. Meat and fish contain fats. There are also fats in products like milk and cheese. Finally, there are minerals. We find minerals in many foods, but particularly in milk, meat, and eggs. Okay, so we've looked at nutrients and foods that contain them. Next week, food groups and how much food you need from each group. Before next week, could you look up food groups on the internet and make some notes of different ideas about them? Okay? So I want you to do some research on food groups on the internet and make some notes about them.
Right, so now let's complete the diagram. So let's talk first about the main nutrients. So we have, this is based on the lecture, by the way. We have 5 main nutrients. We have carbohydrates, like so here. Then we have protein, vitamins, fats, and minerals, right? The human body gets its main energy source is from carbohydrates. And you gotta understand that foods don't only have one source of nutrient. It might have, like, for example, let's talk about eggs. Eggs have a lot more protein than carbohydrates, for example, but there's still a percentage of carbohydrates, right? So there's always a second nutrient. It's just not the same, right, when it comes to volume. So we have carbohydrates, protein, vitamins, fats, and minerals, right? So carbohydrates is mainly used by the body as energy. It's the main energy source. Okay, protein is used to repair muscle, especially when someone goes to the gym, and to repair growth, and it helps you grow, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then we have vitamins, are similar to protein, but in a smaller fashion, right? You don't need much of it, but you do need it. It is essential. Vitamins are similar to minerals, right? Things like magnesium, potassium, all of these are considered minerals, okay? Then we have fats. Fats are important, contrary to popular belief. I know a lot of people think that fats are bad, but they are not. There are essential fats, and there are more than one type of fats, but we won't get into that now, right? They help with hormones, and hormones are basically, messengers throughout the body that send messages and basically help the body function properly without going into too much detail. Okay, so now let's see some examples. For carbohydrates, you can get it from bread, pasta, rice, spaghetti. Okay, for protein, you get it from meat. Okay, so any kind of meat will have protein. Think of fish, for example. You could also get it from cheese, believe it or not. Okay, and for vitamins, think of fruit. So for example, vitamin C, oranges and peppers. Eggs contain vitamin D, and nuts contain vitamin E. I hope I didn't mess that up. I'm not too sure. Okay. And then we have fats. You can get fats from meat as well. Okay. Fish, milk, cheese, and oil. Oil contains a lot of fat. Okay. And minerals are also similar to protein and fats. You can get them from milk, meat, and eggs. Okay, so that was basically the whole diagram. Now, let's go to exercise F, developing critical thinking. Discuss these questions. Why are the foods on the opposite page arranged in a triangle? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but this is called what was it? It was the food triangle, something like that. Yeah, it was the food triangle. There's one more reason why this is kind of outdated. That's why I don't really believe in it. But the answers are going to be up to you. But it says that the triangle basically shows you that you should eat more food at the bottom, as you know, you have more sources here because it gives you more energy. And then as you go along, you should eat less and less until you go up top to fats. I don't necessarily agree with this. I think it's kind of outdated. Now the research suggests just a balanced diet, which is better than this. I'm not sure this is balanced, especially with for people with different goals, for people that want to lose weight and people that want to gain weight, for example, building muscle. Okay, and what else do we have? How else could you arrange the information to show the same idea? Okay, so if you want to show the same idea, we'd probably use a pie chart. Right, you guys remembered pie chart. I think it would actually display the information a bit better because it could give us the exact percentage of each nutrient in each food. Okay, so that was the first part of listening, you guys. Now let's move on to the next page. Right, you guys, so now let's move on to the second part of the listening section here. Let's go to exercise A. Here we have reviewing vocabulary. So in this course, you have learned to recognize a number of fixed expressions. Okay, so in this course, we learn, there are fixed expressions that you'll notice being used often in the English language. So listen closely and let's number the expressions in the correct order below. So 2 minutes, be ready, let's go.
Track 5.4.
1. First, I'm going to talk about sociology. 2.
Alright, let's stop for a second. 1 is going to talk about here. Okay? So going to talk about. Let's go.
Next, social distance.
Next, social distance. Let's actually rewind that back.
2. Next, social distance. In other words, how close you should stand to people.
Right, so in other words is 2. Okay?
3. In the past, we called people like Plato and Ibn Khaldun philosophers.
In the past is the third fixed expression.
4. These days, we call them sociologists.
Sociologists, so these days is 4.
5. A long time ago, in the 4th century BCE, the Greek philosopher Aristotle wrote the first book about the mind.
Yep, so a long time ago is the expression.
6. In 1970, Elizabeth Loftus obtained a PhD in psychology. At that time, she was interested in learning.
Right, so at that time is the expression.
7. How to be a good employee. I've told you some of the things that you must do.
I've told you. So
8. You can see why this country is popular for holidays.
You can see why is the expression.
9. First, there are speeches. After that, the girls get presents.
After that, 9 is the expression.
10. Okay, So there are several methods of flying.
Several methods, so we'll say so there are several is the expression.
11. So we have heard about the main inventions in the field of flying.
So we have heard about is the expression.
12. In my opinion, the space shuttle was the most important invention.
Right, this one's pretty popular in my opinion.
13. News is all around us. Is that a good or bad thing? First, let's look at some advantages.
Let's look at is the expression.
14. OK, those are some of the advantages. What about the disadvantages?
What about is 14.
15. As you know, there are many different ball games.
15 is as you know. So as you know is the expression.
16. To sum up then.
To sum up is 16. Okay? So these are the expressions in the correct order. Now let's move on. What do we have? Let's take a look at the vocab box. Here we have dissolve, explorer, heal, juice, medicine, molecule, reaction, recover, sailor, solvent, and wound. Okay, let's take a look at exercise B. In this course, again, you have learned to wait for definitions. So when listening, you gotta wait for the definitions. So listen to some more information about nutrition. Okay, so we're gonna listen for more information about nutrition, match the words with the definitions. So careful and listen closely to these words and their definitions. Here we go.
Track 5.5.
I want to talk to you today about some very important molecules. A molecule is a compound of different elements. Water is a molecule. It is made of 2 parts of hydrogen for every 1 part of oxygen. Water is an important molecule for the body. It is the solvent for most chemical reactions. In other words, it is the liquid which chemicals are dissolved in. Dissolving is changing from solid to liquid. So water is very important, but there are some other very important molecules. They are called vitamins. You know that the body needs vitamins, but why? Because vitamins work with enzymes, which help the human body carry out chemical reactions. For example, the enzyme praline hydroxylase is in vitamin C. It is very important because it makes collagen, which is essential for healing wounds in the skin.
Okay, now let's take a look at the words and their definitions. So 1 is molecule, and we know that molecule is a compound of different elements. Okay, 2 is solvent. So solvent simply means a liquid. Dissolving basically is the process of changing from solid to liquid. Okay, so think of ice or turning to water, dissolving to water. 4, enzymes. What are enzymes? Enzymes work hand to hand with vitamins to speed up the process, different processes in the human body. They basically act as a catalyst. Okay, so 4, enzymes will say they help the human body carry out chemical reactions. Okay, 5, praline hydroxylase. I think that's how it's pronounced. 5 will say it makes collagen. And what is collagen? It is essential for healing skin wounds. Okay, so these were the different definitions. Now let's move on. Okay, C, recognizing important words. So again, in this course, you have learned to recognize important words in listening. So listen, complete the notes with the important words from each sentence. Okay, so listen closely and make your own notes, and then come check your answers here. Here we go.
Track 5.6.
Vitamin C may be the most important vitamin. As we have seen, vitamin C helps to heal wounds. but it also helps the body to fight infections. It may even help in fighting cancer. Vitamin C occurs in green vegetables and in fruits like oranges and lemons. On average, you should take 60 milligrams per day.
Alright, so important words from each sentence. We'll say it heals wounds, and then we'll say fights infections, could also fight cancer, and then put a question mark, maybe, because that's a maybe. You could also say it's found in green vegetables and fruits such as oranges and lemons. And finally, we'll say that you need 60 milligrams per day. Okay, this one's pretty simple. Now let's move on. Let's go to exercise D, understanding a sequence. Okay, so in this course you have learned to hear dates and context. Again, careful when talking about dates because dates are important and they are often confusing. Write the correct year in each space. Okay, here are some pictures regarding what we're about to listen to. I'm going to go to the pictures, and after all of this is done, I'll answer the correct dates. Here we go.
Track 5.7.
Vitamin C helps fight the disease scurvy. That's S-C-U-R-V-Y. People have known about the disease for thousands of years. It led to many deaths in ancient Egypt in 3000 BCE and later in 500 BCE in ancient Greece and 100 BCE in ancient Rome. But nobody knew the cause. In 1536, Native American Indians gave a French explorer a medicine contained in tree leaves, and his men recovered. But the knowledge did not return to Europe. In 1742, a British naval officer, James Lind, asked for fruits like lemons to be included in the food for all long voyages, but his idea was rejected. Then, in 1768, another British naval officer, James Cook, gave lime juice to his sailors on a long voyage, and nobody died from scurvy. People began to realize there was a connection between fresh fruit and scurvy. However, it was another 150 years before the real cause of scurvy was established. In 1932, Charles King, an American researcher, proved the connection between vitamin C and scurvy.
Alright, pretty interesting. Let's take a look. So deaths from scurvy in ancient Egypt, that was I think 3000 BCE. 3000 BCE. Okay. Deaths from scurvy in ancient Greece, that was 500 BCE. Deaths from scurvy in ancient Rome, and that is 100 BCE. Right? So when did American Indians give medicine to a French explorer? We'll say 1536. James Lind said that sailors needed lemons on long voyages. We'll say that was 1742. James Cook gave lime juice to his sailors. That happened in 1768. Charles King proved the connection between vitamin C and scurvy. We'll say that happened in 1932. Okay, so that was exercise D. I think that's it, right? Yep, that's it. Alright, so that was the second part. Now, let's move on. Okay, you guys, so now let's move on to exercise E. Here we have predicting information. Okay, so in this course, again, you have learned to predict the next information from the structure of the sentence. Study the sentences below, what will come next in each case. Okay, so I'm going to play a 2-minute recording right now, and I want you guys to basically try to come up or think of what's about to come next. Okay, so here we have some examples. A festival is, what do you think will come next? What does celebrate mean? Okay, also the first newspaper appeared. You might not know all of them, so that's why. Just listen carefully to the audio. Here we go.
Track 5.8. 1. A festival is a special event in one country or several countries. 2. Celebrate means remember a happy event.
Yep.
3. The first newspaper appeared in ancient Rome. 4. Water is made of 2 parts of hydrogen for every 1 part of oxygen. 5. Tennis and football are both sports. 6. Did you know that there are over 1 billion bicycles in the world? 7. The first flight took place on the 14th of December, 1926. 8. She was born in 1949. 9. Publishers want to attract the right kind of reader. 10. First, I'm going to talk about the history of the mass media.
Right, so these were some of the sentences. Let's go over them one more time. So we have a festival is a special event in one country or several countries. 2. Celebrate means remember a happy event. The first newspaper appeared in ancient Rome. Water is made up of or is made of 2 parts of hydrogen for every 1 part of oxygen. Tennis and football are both sports or opponent sports. Did you know that there are over 1 billion bicycles in the world? The first flight took place on 14th December 1926. She was born in 1949. Publishers want to attract the right kind of reader. First, I'm going to talk about the history of the mass media. Okay? Now, let's move on to exercise F, recognizing present and past. Pretty sure you guys know the difference between present and past by now. We're going to listen, and let's tick the correct column for each sentence, whether present and past, and give yourself the reasoning. Okay, I'll say the reasoning, but I want you to think about it. Okay, here we go.
Track 5.9.
1. Vitamins are essential parts of human diet.
Alright, let me pause this for a second. So vitamins are essential parts of the human diet. Why is that? Well, we have an are, and that is why it's present. Okay, verb to be, are, and not where.
2. Lack of vitamins makes a person ill.
Right, let me pause this again. Lack of vitamins makes a person ill. I know that this is present because make has an S at the end, so makes a person ill. Okay?
3. For example, lack of vitamin D causes a disease called rickets.
Okay? For example, lack of vitamin D causes, you see, we added an ES, a disease called rickets. So again, present.
4. There are many different vitamins.
Again, one more time, there are, okay, verb to be in the present, are many different vitamins, like so. So here, present.
5. The name vitamin appeared in 1912.
Okay, the name vitamin appeared in 1912. Okay, so appeared, past tense, and in 1912. Okay, this is also the past, both date-wise and the word.
6. Vitamin A was discovered between 1912 and 1914.
Okay, this one's interesting. So vitamin A was, okay, so the past tense of verb to be is, okay, was discovered between 1912 and 1914. Both dates are in the past, so that makes it a past sentence.
7. Researchers found other vitamins in the next 10 years.
Okay, so researchers found, okay, past tense of the word find, other vitamins in the next 10 years. So this will be in the past.
8. There are 13 vitamins that prevent disease.
There are 13 vitamins that prevent disease. There are obviously verb to be in the present, so present.
9. Vitamin C prevents scurvy.
Vitamin C prevents scurvy. Vitamin C prevents, we have an S at the end, so that will be present.
10. It occurs naturally in fruits like limes and lemons.
It occurs, we have an S towards the end, naturally in fruits like limes and lemons, so this will be present as well.
11. In 1742, James Lind realized the importance of these fruits.
Okay, so in 1742, that is a date in the past, so that makes it a past sentence.
12. But very few people used his discovery at the time.
But very few people used his discovery at the time. At the time means a while back, so past tense. Okay, so that was exercise F. Let's move on. Here we have recognizing positive and negative sentences. Pretty sure you guys could recognize positive and negative sentences. We've talked about this a lot in the previous themes. So what do we have? Listen and simply tick the sentence that you hear. So we're going to be listening to, I think, about 8 sentences, and we're going to have to choose the one that we hear from 2 options. Here we go.
Track 5.10.
1. The human body needs vitamins. 2. The human body can't make vitamins. 3. It gets them from fruit and vegetables. 4. Cooking can destroy vitamins.
Actually, hold on, I didn't hear that. I'm going to have to go back.
4. Cooking can destroy vitamins.
Okay.
5. Boiled vegetables don't have a lot of vitamins. 6. You should eat raw fruit. 7. Washing fruit doesn't remove vitamins. 8. Washing fruit removes most germs.
Okay, so the human body needs vitamins. The human body can't make vitamins. It gets them from fruit and vegetables. Cooking can destroy vitamins. I did not know that. Boiled vegetables don't have a lot of vitamins. You should eat raw fruit. Washing fruit doesn't remove vitamins, and washing fruit removes most germs. Okay, so as you can see here, these are all negative sentences, if you haven't already noticed, and all of these are positive. Okay, let's move on. Exercise H, what do we have? Recognizing singular and plural subjects. Again, pretty simple. We have talked about this a lot, the difference between singular and plural subjects in context. So listen, is the subject of each sentence singular or plural? We'll listen and check. Here we go.
Track 5.11.
1. Fats are solvent, like water.
Okay, you see how she tried to trick you? She said fat's a solvent like water. Here what she's using is an apostrophe S, so fat is a solvent like water. So in this case, fat is a singular subject and not fats with an S. Okay?
2. Fats are in meat and also in milk.
Fats are in meat and also in milk. Here fats are used as a general term, so it's in plural.
3. The vitamins essential for strong bones.
Okay, again, he tried to mess with you for a little bit. So the vitamins essential for strong bones. Okay, I didn't just say vitamins, I said the vitamin, so that means I'm talking about one specific vitamin, okay? So it'll be one vitamin here, and has an apostrophe S.
4. The meeting's at 2 p.m.
The meeting's at 2 p.m. Again, one meeting, it's at 2 p.m., okay?
5. The researchers are still working on the problem.
The researchers are still working on the problem. Here, simple researchers, that's plural.
6. The festival's very old.
The festival is very old. Is, okay? Singular. Is used for singular, are is used for plural. Remember?
7. The manager's a very nice person.
Okay, one person. I'm talking about one person, a very nice person, so I'll say the manager.
8. The bank's open at 9.
The bank's open at 9. Here, banks, as in plural, different banks.
9. There's a river in the north.
There is a river in the north. Okay, river in the north.
10. There are mountains in the east.
There are mountains. This is simple. Mountains, plural. Okay? I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So that was exercise H, differentiating between singular and plural. Now let's move on. What else do we have? Here we have question tags. Okay, this is interesting. So let's go to skills check. Actually, let me open this so you guys can get a better view here. Question tags. We can make a statement into a question with a tag. A tag is basically bringing the sentence and taking the subject and verb from the statement and adding a question mark or an auxiliary. Let's take a look. If I say it's a nice day, I can follow it up with isn't it? And that's a question tag. Okay? He lives in London, doesn't he? We must be punctual, mustn't we? Okay? They've been to Egypt, haven't they? You're gonna switch it up from positive to negative. Okay? Let's take a look. When we start solving them, you'll get the idea. So, which verbs appear in question tags? Which auxiliaries? Write the correct question tag for each statement. Right. Let's take a look. Let's start with 1. You can speak Arabic. Okay, I'm gonna change can to can't. So I'll say can't. Oops. Can't you? Okay. I'll take you and can. I'll put can in negative form, and then I'll add you. So can't you, and always remember the question mark. Okay, so you can speak Arabic, can't you? B. They should give us more time for this assignment. And then we'll say shouldn't they, right? I'll take they and should, and I'll use should in the past, or sorry, in the negative form. Okay, shouldn't they? And obviously you have to add the most important thing, the question mark. C, the lecture was good, and then we'll say the lecture was good. We'll say wasn't it? And question mark. We're going to study nutrition next week, aren't we? Yep, aren't we? Okay, we took we and the are here. Okay, this is obviously one word, but you can open it. E, she's working in the library at the moment. I think we'll say isn't she? Isn't she? And oops, sorry, I forgot the question mark here. That contradicts what I just said. Okay, so she's working in the library at the moment, isn't she? We have math at 2. Don't we? I think we'll say we have math at 2, don't we? Yes, don't we? Don't. I keep messing up here, don't we? Petrol is made up from oil. Petrol is made up from oil, isn't it? Okay. Isn't it? And question mark. H, limes were used on ships to stop scurvy. Okay. Then weren't they? Question mark. There's a concert in the students' union this evening, isn't there? So we'll say isn't there. You'll pay me back tomorrow, won't you? Won't you? And question mark. So let's read them one more time. You can speak Arabic, can't you? They should give us more time for this assignment, shouldn't they? The lecture was good, wasn't it? We're going to study nutrition next week, aren't we? She's working in the library at the moment, isn't she? We have math at 2, don't we? Petrol is made from oil, isn't it? Limes were used on shops to stop scurvy. Weren't they? There's a concert in the Students' Union this evening, isn't there? And finally, you'll pay me back tomorrow, won't you? Okay? So that was I. Now let's go to exercise J, final exercise of the listening section here. Tick the correct way to complete each sentence. Okay? Let's take a look. We have 1, after, have heard, hearing, hear, a speech, they go to a party. So we'll obviously choose the second. Hearing is the correct one. After hearing a speech, they go to a party. What happened or happens or did happen on 7th December 1903? What happened, okay, in the past? Children under 17 won't drive a car in the UK, don't drive a car in the UK, can't drive a car in the UK. We'll say can't drive a car in the UK. 4, I going to talk about air travel. I'm going to talk about air travel, and I will to talk about air travel. Obviously, the second is correct. I am going to talk about air travel. Okay, who was shot in Dallas in 1963? Who did shoot in Dallas in 1963? Or who shot in Dallas? Who was shot is the correct one. He didn't have enough money to buy a car. He didn't have enough, or he didn't enough have money to buy the car, or he had not enough money to buy a car. Obviously, the first one is correct. So he didn't have enough money to buy the car. Okay, so that was exercise J, correcting, or basically completing each sentence with the correct form. And this was listening, you guys. Hope you have a good one, and peace out.